Hi YouTube, it's your boy Grassy TV, and welcome to another Here's Each 2 video. Sub-skill trees are a new feature coming in Season 5 and are designed to provide a more tailored experience, letting players focus on specific playstyles and strategies that better suit their preferences. Each tree will offer a mix of passive and active abilities, allowing for a wide range of build options, enhancing both character customization and gameplay depth. To access this new feature, simply click the plus sign at the top right of the skill you're looking to spec into. A new window will pop up that looks just like this. Here's how this works. You always start at the bottom, then lines connect to smaller travel nodes that grant stacking buffs. At the end, every skill has 4 larger nodes that are very build defining, known as augments. You cannot have more than 1 augment per skill, but you can spec as many skills as you have allocated. For this video, I will be reviewing each skill sub-skill tree for the Plague Doctor class, going through every node and demonstrating each augment. And as always, I will have timestamps available so you can easily navigate to your favorite skills. Now, before we get started, this video is not intended to simulate DPS or serve as an indicator of which skills will be the best for Season 5. The goal here is simply to generate early conversations regarding sub-skill functionality, improvements, and diversity to ensure that every skill in Season 5 brings something fresh and exciting to the game. Use the comments to share your thoughts, or feel free to share a build that you've theory crafted. I'm streaming Season 5 beta on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV, and I would be happy to check out any of these new build ideas that you guys have. Let's get going. Our first skill is Miasma. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increase the tick frequency of Miasma, chance to inflict poison on hit, increase the damage dealt, increase damage dealt to poison targets, increases the Miasma size, chance to unleash additional Miasma clouds, chance to inflict burning on hit, chance to critically hit enemies with increased critical strike damage, increased attack rating when using Miasma, and chance to drop a burning meteor at the burning target on hit, unleashing multiple fireballs to all directions when exploding. Our first augment is Tenacious Stench. Miasma sticks to the target with increased size and damage. Second is Shoulder Fling. Fling targets behind you on hit, inflicting elemental break and stunning. Next we have Epidemic Dissemination. Unleash multiple Miasma clouds in an arc when attacking. Miasma no longer requires you to strike a target. And just in case you were wondering, this does work with return projectiles. And lastly, we have Epinephrine Addict. Striking monsters gives you a stack of Epinephrine Addict, increasing your attack speed, movement speed, and attack range. At maximum stacks, gain phasing movement. Our second skill is Surgical Bloodletting. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increased damage, inflict bleeding to targets, increases its projectile speed, increased attack rating. Killing a monster with Surgical Bloodletting restores your life for a portion of your additive physical damage. Chance on attack to inflict increased bleed damage, increased damage dealt to bleeding enemies. Chance to unleash a ripple of blood on hit, dealing area of effect damage. Decrease movement diminish when using Surgical Bloodletting. And lastly, chance on attack to increase the damage dealt according to your vitality. Our first augment is Surgeon's Vortex. Knives will orbit around you, slowly going outwards. Second, we have Blood Thaumaturgist. Throw multiple knives in an arc. The knives stick to targets for a short duration before pulling back, dealing increased damage according to your maximum life. Third is Fracturing Knife Fest. Throw a knife with increased projectile speed, exploding twice into multiple piercing knives in all directions. And lastly, Cutting Storm. Knives have a chance to conjure a spinning knife tornado on hit, dealing increased damage over time. Our third skill is Toxic Flask. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increased maximum cast range and area of effect radius, increases damage, decrease the mana cost, inflict poison break on hit. Toxic Flask home to the nearest monster with increased projectile speed after reaching the highest altitude, increases its amount of bounces, chance to unleash an additional flask, chance on cast to throw an additional flask high in the air, falling straight down with increased area effect radius, decreased movement diminish when using Toxic Flask, and teleport to the target location when a flask hits the ground. As a side note, this is just the very first throw, it's not each bounce as well. Our first augment is Plague Radiator. Toxic Flask emits toxic clouds towards nearby monsters, inflicting poison when hitting the ground. Second is Toxin Vials. Throw multiple toxic flasks in an arc. Third is Glass Blowing Technician. Toxic Flask is now a physical skill, unleashing shards of glass when hitting the ground. Toxic Flask ignores 100% of target defense. And lastly, Vial of Alchemy. Throwing Toxic Flask at yourself or an ally empowers them with toxins, granting increased damage, life, and damage reduction. Our fourth skill is Crematus. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increased duration, increased damage, chance to inflict burning on hit, chance to inflict poison break on hit, chance on cast to unleash 2 additional trails of Crematus, dealing a portion of the damage, increased movement speed when using Crematus, increase its area of effect, decrease the movement diminish, chance to burst the ground into flames at the burning target's location on hit, dealing a portion of the damage over time, and damaging a monster with Crematus inflicts a stack of pustules. At full stacks, unleash a burst of poison, dealing area of effect damage. Our first augment is Spiraling Cremation. Unleash multiple swirling flames around you, dealing increased damage. Second is Far Flames. Increase the projectile speed, size, and damage of the Crematus. Third, we have Unstable Contamination. Activate or deactivate to leave a trail of poisonous gas behind, dealing damage over time and slowing targets. It drains mana constantly. And lastly, Toxic Container. Throw a plague container at the target location, unleashing Crematus into all directions for a short duration. The plague container eventually explodes, dealing area of effect damage and stunning nearby monsters. Our fifth skill is Plague of Rats. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increase the projectile amount, increase damage dealt by Plague of Rats, increase the size, decrease mana cost, chance for rats to explode into plague chunks of meat, dealing damage and inflicting poison on hit, chance to critically hit with increased critical strike damage, increase cast rate, inflict poison break, decrease movement diminish, and increase projectile speed. Our first augment is Rat Tsunami. Summon increased amounts of piercing rats bouncing off of high terrain. Second is Rat Den. Summon a rat den at the target location, constantly sending rats towards nearby monsters. Plague of Rats now has a cooldown. Third is Spreading Infestation. Increase the proc chance and poison damage of plague carriers. Plague characters now additionally send multiple piercing rats towards nearby monsters. And last, Ratpocalypse. Summon an increased amount of rats in a circle around the target location, moving towards the center. Plague of Rats now has a cooldown. The Plague of Rats does have a cooldown, it's just a very small one. Our sixth skill is Plague Master. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increased area of effect, increased damage, inflict poison break on hit, increased poison duration from Plague Master, chance to stun, increase its tick frequency, inflict slow, decreased mana cost, chance to summon a pool of bacteria and viruses on hit, dealing damage over time, and increased damage to stun targets. Our first augment is Stacked Bacteria. Poison from Plague Masters inflicts additional stacks of poison. Second is Bubonic Plague. Chance to inflict plague on hit, causing targets to become infected, inflicting damage to monsters around them. Third is Containment Breakout. Increase the damage dealt and area of effect radius of Plague Master significantly. Increases the cooldown of Plague Master. And last, Raise from Pestilence. Monsters killed by Plague Master spawn a Toxic Anomaly. Toxic Anomalies seek nearby monsters, exploding on hit, dealing increased area of effect damage. Our seventh skill is Jar of Leeches. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increased amount of leeches, increases damage, increased projectile speed. This includes the leeches, increased damage dealt to bosses, chance on cast to unleash additional jars, increased area of effect, increased maximum cast range, inflict bleeding, consume nearby corpses, adding additional jars, and restore a portion of your maximum life on hit. Our first augment is Jug Juggler. Throw multiple jars in an arc, dealing a portion of the damage. Second is Blood Infused Leeches. Increase the leech damage, size, and area of effect radius based on your maximum life. Jar of Leeches consumes a portion of your maximum life per cast. Third, we have Toxicophile Bloodsucker. Spawn a static leech at the target location. The Leech pulsates, dealing damage and slowly pulling monsters towards it on hit. Jar of Leeches now has a cooldown. And lastly, Lasting Hunger. Leeches now stick to the target for a short duration, dealing increased damage over time. Our final skill is Randy the Rancid Rat. Starting with the travel nodes, we have increases his life, increases damage, chance on hit to unleash piercing plague of rats towards the target, increases movement speed and attack speed. Randy now gains an aura inflicting monsters with poisoned, increases the poison damage inflicted. Randy now recovers a portion of his maximum life on hit, increases all resistance and damage reduction for Randy, chance to become enraged on hit, dealing increased damage and having additional attack speed, and redirect a portion of incoming damage to Randy. Our first augment is Randy Rider. Mount Randy the Rancid Rat, gaining increased movement speed while rapidly summoning smaller rats that seek out nearby enemies and explode. Jumping while mounted causes Randy to leap with increased jumping power. This skill now does have a cooldown, but you can go over walls, and other skills are able to be casted while you're mounted. Unfortunately, the rats that seek out enemies currently isn't working for the augment, so we will have to look at that at a different date. Second is Drago Rat. Randy the Rancid Rat unleashes a breath of fire when attacking. Third, we have QA3 Modified Specimen. Randy the Rancid Rat summons additional tiny rats armed with blunderbusses, dealing a portion of the damage on hit. Unfortunately, this one is also currently not working in the beta at the moment, so we will have to look at it at a different time. And lastly, we have Gluttony. Increase the attack area effect radius of Randy the Rancid Rat whenever striking a monster, stacking indefinitely. This does decrease the duration of Randy the Rancid Rat. And that's going to wrap up all of these sub-skill trees for the Plague Doctor class. What was your favorite augment? Let me know in the comments. If you want to stay up to date with Season 5 beta, be sure to subscribe to this channel to always know when I post a new video. Come check me out live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave it a like, as it does help me a ton. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.